Firing chain is armed. Sound suppression water system activated. T-minus 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Go for main engine start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And 0 and liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis, reaching the crest of its historic achievements in space.
Houston, Atlantis is in a roll.
Roger, roll.
Houston is now controlling. The roll maneuver is complete. Atlantis is in a heads-down position on course for a 51.6 degree, 136 by 36 statute mile orbit. The three main engines on Atlantis have now been throttled down to 72% of rated thrust as the orbiter prepares to pass through the area of maximum dynamic pressure on the vehicle in the lower atmosphere. The engine's now beginning to throttle back up.
Atlantis, you are go at throttle up.
Copy, go at throttle up.
All three engines looking really good, back at full throttle now at liftoff. The fully fueled shuttle, boosters, and external tank weighed 4.5 million pounds. It now has burned half of that liftoff weight in propellant. 1 minute, 30 seconds into the flight, all three auxiliary power units that provide hydraulic power to the orbiter's systems in good shape, as are the fuel cells providing electricity to all of the systems on board. Atlantis is already 19 miles in altitude, downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, 20 miles, traveling 2,500 miles per hour. Coming up on staging, the point at which the twin solid rocket boosters burn out and separate from the orbiter. Booster separation confirmed. The onboard guidance system has done its job of settling out any of the dispersions that have been introduced at the booster separation. Atlantis' performance thus far is exactly as planned as Atlantis heads into orbit, flying heads down, wings level into a historic sunset on its 30-second mission.
Atlantis, you are 2-engine TOW.
Copy, 2-engine TOW.
Atlantis can now reach Zaragoza in Spain in the event of a single-engine failure. However, all three main engines are still operating at full throttle, 104% of rated thrust. The auxiliary power unit's still in great shape, as are the fuel cells. Atlantis is traveling 3,700 miles per hour at an altitude of 47 miles, downrange from the Kennedy Space Center now 88 miles. Atlantis is getting a boost from the orbital maneuvering system engines on the tail of the vehicle. Those have been burning now for about 1.5 minutes.
Atlantis, you are negative return.
Copy, scored, negative return.
Negative return means Atlantis can no longer return to the Kennedy Space Center in the event of an engine failure. It's already traveling too high and too fast to return to the launch site.
Atlantis, you are press to MECO and single-engine Zaragoza 104.
Copy, press to MECO, single-engine Zaragoza 104. And Scorch, I got the roll.
Lucky dog. Atlantis, we'll have a nominal shutdown on all three. You will be go for the plus X, go for the pitch.
Atlantis copies. Nominal shutdown. Go for the plus X. Go for the pitch.
Good readback.
That roll to heads up provides a good satellite communications link with Atlantis, continuing its travel into space, approaching 7 minutes into the flight.
Atlantis, you are single engine press 104.
Copy. Single engine press 104.
Atlantis can reach orbit on one engine now should two fail. However, all three are still in good shape. Atlantis is now traveling 13,000 miles per hour, 580 miles away from the Kennedy Space Center at an altitude of 340,000 feet, or about 64 miles. Shortly, the three main engines will begin throttling back to maintain the structural limits on the orbiter as it approaches loads near 3 times gravity. All quiet here in Mission Control with all systems in great shape. Atlantis is traveling 15,500 miles per hour, approaching 8 minutes into the flight, downrange 740 miles at an altitude of 64 miles, 337,000 feet. Standing by for main engine cutoff confirmation as Atlantis is in excellent shape heading into orbit. Main engine cutoff confirmed, standing by for separation from the external fuel tank. Atlantis now flying away from the external tank after separation. Plus X burn maneuver being performed by Commander Ken Ham.
Nominal MECO, ohms 1, not required. Preliminary ohms to TIG will be 37:30.
We are now getting our first look of the external tank as it drifted away from Space Shuttle Atlantis soon after the shuttle reached orbit after its 8.5-minute ride into space earlier today. As is typical with all Space Shuttle missions, the crew rapidly gets out their handheld camera and takes some still and motion video of the external tank as it drifts away from the shuttle. This gives the ground teams an idea of exactly how the foam on the external tank fared to make sure that all of it stayed in its proper position. You can see some of the cryogenics from inside that tank still venting as the tank separated from Space Shuttle Atlantis. That tank also has what are known as tumble jets installed on it that enable the tank to basically flip end over end to ensure that it actually breaks up as expected. As it goes back down into the Earth's atmosphere, it disintegrates. In this view inside Atlantis' payload bay, you can see the orbital boom sensor system attachment there at the very center of your screen. That's a piece of the equipment that looks like a small antenna that's sticking out is actually the part that the shuttle's robotic arm grabs onto. You can also see the integrated cargo carrier there at the middle of your screen. That's the large cargo pallet that has a bunch of these spare parts that Atlantis is bringing up to the station. On the front side of it there, you can see the spare space-to-ground antenna. Looks like a small satellite dish. On the back side, which is not in this view, but you can see the batteries that are bound for the port truss. Those will be installed on some of the spacewalks planned for this flight. There's some old batteries that will be retrieved and put back onto this cargo pallet and brought back in Atlantis'